Alright, thank you very much. Hello everybody, it's your good friend Pozzible here, and I'm back in action with a very difficult review this time. Normally my reviews can be really simple because they're mostly movies, but today I decided to dip into anime again because I'm watching a lot of anime right now. And this particular anime is very good, however it's very, very complex, so it's very hard to describe without trying to give away spoilers or anything like that. Basically the show I'm talking about is called Psycho-Pass, a 22 episode anime on Hulu that I found, where basically you've got this group, and you know, at first glance I was really worried because you have this situation where too many cooks spoil the broth, and you almost have that. There's a lot of people who are quote-unquote main characters, okay, even though they're not main characters, they're just one big team, almost too big of a team. And you have this idea that we're in a dystopia future where technology rules us now, and it will decide who's guilty, who's not guilty. Think Minority Report. Remember Minority Report with Tom Cruise? This is kind of in that similar vein. These guys are the police. Now I'm going to bring out my pointer here to show you two important people. These people here that I'm circling, they are the inspectors. Everyone else is the enforcers, even though she's mostly their doctor slash hacker. You got this show where these guys are supposed to fight crime, stop latent criminals. Well, the enforcers, the four on the left and that one guy on the right, they are latent criminals also. So because of that, in order to maintain a society order, they help the inspectors, the two on the right, the guy wearing the glasses and the shortest girl there. They help the inspectors solve the crime. Now, they actually solve the crimes. The enforcers do. The inspectors pretty much take care of the enforcers. They make sure they try not to get away. They make sure they don't do anything wrong. The true judge in this society is the dominator, their gun. When they point a gun at somebody, the gun will decide whether that person gets to live or die. It also gets to decide whether that person gets to get knocked out. It also decides whether a person is a criminal or not, judging by their hue. The hue is what the Sybil system, that's what they call the system, the Sybil system. The Sybil system uses a person's hue to determine. For example, in one episode, there's this guy who, you see this couple making out. You see this other guy watching from a distance. He's clearly jealous, he's clearly upset, he's clearly thinking of doing something very wrong. So, thanks to that, they stop him just in time. The challenge that comes in with this show is that people are starting to buck the system. They're starting to hide their hues. And there's this one guy who has no hue whatsoever. So this dominator doesn't work against him. It's very interesting the way they have it set up. That part kind of upset me though. The guy, they made him not just into a criminal, but a super criminal. And I don't feel like he really deserved that. The other thing you have to know about Psycho-Pass is that this show likes to spend a lot of time on psycho-dribble. You know, a lot of philosophers' discussion on the nature of human, the nature of life, the nature of happiness, the nature of a society, stuff like that. They borrow from a lot of literature. Interesting at first, gets long and boring at the moment. Also, another disappointing thing in my opinion was the mysteries. When they would come in the beginning and find these individual mysteries, they weren't solved to my satisfaction. I'll just say that. Okay, that's just me though. Ultimately, Psycho-Pass is a great show. Very complicated if you're into those more intelligent type of shows without being too full of itself. That's the reason I really like this movie. That's the reason why Psycho-Pass gets a see it. Because it was one of those shows that's intellectual without being full of itself. I really did appreciate that. That said, one more thing I want to say about Psycho-Pass, just to sum this up. One big compliment I have for Psycho-Pass is to say that this is a dystopia future done right. You know, when it comes to dystopia futures, everyone is like subjugated, and you've got the people who rule over you through an iron fist, and deep down, nobody agrees with the system. That's how they make dystopia futures today. In a better context, a dystopia future is one where people are overruled, however, they accept it willingly. happily. At one moment in this show, the best moment that I thought of, in my opinion, was they were talking about doubts with the civil system. And he was like, well, we can get rid of this system, but we can go back to the old system of judges, attorneys, courts, trials, and stuff like that. And they're like, no, I'd rather stick with my civil system because it's so, instant gratification. You see a person, you judge that person right then and there. Well, you don't judge the person, the dominator judges the person. But you get my sense. It's kind of hard. We make things too easy sometimes. In America, I feel that we are like, okay, we're going to make this dystopia future. It's going to be an obvious dystopia future. That if the government didn't have the power, the people would rise up and defend it and destroy it. Well, that's not true for Psycho-Pass. In Psycho-Pass, the police, enforcers, and inspectors are not really bad people, but they're people caught in the middle. On the one hand, you've got the civil system, which they use to protect people. But on the other hand, you have this guy, a bad guy, who wants to free everyone from the civil system by bringing out but he's bad. He's not just bad, he's a monster. He murders people and he butchers them. And it's not just kills them, they die horrible deaths and stuff like that. So the point I'm trying to make here is, this is the way a dystopia's future is supposed to be. There is supposed to be some good. It's not just supposed to be we're going to rule over you and you're going to do what I say or else. There has to be some positives along with the negative. And that's the interesting part about Psycho-Pass. Psycho-Pass brings you a positive system with negative consequences. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. But like they ask, do you really want to go back? Do you really want to return to what we knew before this? And now, since they don't want to do that, they're trapped. They're using the system, and it's hard to explain in this one-time review. But it brings up an interesting topic of discussion, which is what Psycho-Pass is all about. This is why I give Psycho-Pass a see it. Very good show, long in parts, but it definitely is worthy ultimately. All right, guys, that's it for me today. I hope to see you at the theaters.